Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar on the report pack for Power BI. We are going to spend some time this morning looking at some pre-built reports for GP and Power BI. We've been getting quite a few requests from clients about Power BI and Power BI reporting, and we have some really nice pre-built report packs to share with you this morning. So you can see the power, and at the end, we will go over any questions you may have. And you can use these reports as a basis and tweak them as needed, so you're not starting from scratch. But I'm going to hand things over to Anthony Merriweather, who is going to help walk us through some examples of the Power BI report packs.
Thank you, Allie. Let me do a screen share here. 1 moment. Okay, here we go. Again, I'm Anthony Merriweather, one of the designers of the report pack for Dynamics GP. The report pack is built on Microsoft's Power BI data analytics reporting platform. Consists of 5 modules: your financials, sales analysis, inventory, project accounting, purchasing. These 5 modules comprise the report pack, and each module has several reports within it. So they're pretty comprehensive. It would take too long to go through all 5 modules, and it may not be applicable to everyone on here. You may not have project accounting. Most clients don't. So we're going to go through the 2 main modules, which will be the financials and the sales. Everybody has the financials, and everybody's selling something. So what we see here is the Power BI environment. This is Microsoft's hosting environment for all Power BI reports. It's a SaaS service provided by Microsoft. And this is the only place where your reports are hosted, no matter who the client is. And it's a secure Azure cloud with 512 AES encryption. Data at rest and data in transit is encrypted. So it's pretty safe. No one has hacked the Microsoft cloud yet, the Azure cloud. So this is the navigation pane over here, where we can move around and look at certain things, look at different things. You know, it's just another way of getting to your reports, but you can get to them easily from favoriting them right here. So let's just jump into the financials. Everything is pretty intuitive. Just click your mouse and go. We can see here's the report list here in this module. It's pretty extensive. There's probably about 27 reports just in the financials module. Your agings, AR and AP agings are here. As you can see, I'm going to roll this up so we can actually see the customers. We have our customers and aging periods for each customer. If I click on that customer, I can see the aging indicators over here change for that customer. Everything is fully interactive. All graphics change when you click on one particular item. I click it again, I can bring it back. I can make it bigger. So I can see all my agings here at a glance. And I can also go and interrogate the aging. I can see the detail behind them. See where that $164,000 is. There it is. And I can see everything about it, the invoice numbers and the aging periods, last payment date, and the unapplied AR. So everything's right there at my fingertips. I don't have to run any reports. I can create personal dashboards from this to use to take on my phone or my tablet or wherever you want. So these are dashboard reports. So a little terminology is probably necessary here. So there's two words. There's a dashboard report, and there are dashboards. The dashboard reports are what we have here, which is the entire report. If I want to create my own little personal dashboard because I want to see these numbers every day, I just simply click the pin here. Each visual has a pin on it, right there. And every report in there has this functionality. I can click that, and I'm going to create a new dashboard just called My AR. So now I've taken that. I'm going to add this to it, this pin. I'll add it to My AR. And I'll take this guy here. Get this out of my way. And we'll take this one. And I'll add that to my AR. So now it's going to show me what it's going to look like on my telephone, on my smartphone. And this is what the dashboard I am creating from the dashboard report. So on my smartphone, when I download the Power BI mobile app, I'll sign in and see this. And when I click on one of these objects on my smartphone, it'll bring up the underlying report. So that's how you build your own personal dashboard from the dashboard reports. So over here, if I look here, let me find that dashboard I just created. Here it is, right here. So I can open it up here. I can move things around. I can build this out scale this out as much as I want with other visuals in the other reports. And like I said, on your phone or your tablet or on your computer, if you click on one of these objects, it'll take you to the report from which it was created. So I click it, and it takes me into the AR. So now I can go and look around if I want. The accounts payable works the same way. Oh, one more thing on the AR aging. These visuals up here, you'll notice sometimes these have these arrows up here. That means I can take a look at a different level of categorization here. In this case, I click the middle one. It's going to show me the document types that comprise all of these receivables. I see that most of them are made up of sales invoices. And I can see the payments down here. I can make that bigger if I need to. And then I can roll it back up to customers. So I'm back up there now. The accounts payable works the same way as the receivables. Exactly the same with the drill through capability and the roll up capability, roll down capability. See, these are vendor invoices. There's no credit memos or debit memos in here. And again, and we have the financials. Here are all of my financials for 2020. I can look at all of the account categories. There you go. And I can just click and I can look over the balance sheet accounts. And I can see on my balance sheet accounts. Again, we have those controls here where we can roll it up. Just roll it all the way up. And I can now I can roll down to the level to get a visual that I want to see. If I want to see more detail, I just go all the way down. I can just filter that on anything I want to. Hold the control key down or not. Just we'll continue to add to it. So I'm going to roll this all the way up. Then I'm going to come over here to the right, and this will give me the greatest detail over here. You can see the sub accounts within the account categories. That's pretty cool. So that's the let you interrogate your financials. Okay, then we also have additional financials here. You know, if I uncheck sales down here, now I see I can look at balance sheets. I usually start at the top down, because if I were to select sales down here first, the balance sheet went away because it knows that sales is a P&L account. All the filters are smart enough to know that. So for 2020, let's just look at the cash account. I like to do that. And I can go ahead and look at my cash account and look at it this way. It's another way of looking at it, and I can see the trend and the account trend change here on the bottom, month to month. I can select it's also smart enough to know that I only have transactions for these months into 2020. If I selected 2019, it knows that there were transactions for the entire year in 2019. So they're all smart. I can see what's open. I only have open transactions. It means that these are not posted yet or fully applied. And there's no work here, just open. And if you can see in 2019 as history, because that means that these were fully applied transactions, fully applied to the general ledger. And these still represent, we still have this as an unapplied AR. So that's pretty cool. See all of that right there? So these settings I've set here will be remembered on this next statement or dashboard report. So remembered my settings, it's going to give me a trend analysis here. I'm going to deselect cash. I'm going to deselect open. Now I've got a bunch of years that it knows there's a bunch of years for the balance sheet. I select them all. I can see the trend over the years. And I can just narrow it down further to the particular category, cash, and I can see the cash movement. If I go to receivables, I can see my receivables. Months here. There we go. So that's a trend analysis. If I select accounts payable, again. So that's how that works. And there's another balance sheet P&L. It's a drill through. So if I come back over here and I want to know about this $248,000, I drill through to it. And there's that. Here I am. Go back. And there's one more balance sheet. It's forecasting. What the forecasting uses is predictive analytics to tell you what the next month and the next year's forecast will be based on the current data, January, February, all the way through. So let's just look at cash here, for instance. If we're going to use the monthly forecast, we want to select 1 year. Otherwise, you get several years rolled in here. And I can see these are all the periods: January, February, March, April, May. This is all the real data. So it's telling me based on this that my cash forecast account will have this number. 349,000 is the forecast for June. And that will be the 6th month, June. So based on the predictive analytics and the probability, this will be the forecast. If I don't like that forecast, I can do something to change it. I can either, just let everything go as it is, or now at least I have the insight to make a change if I want to bring that forecast up. This one here looks like it's on a pretty good trajectory. Now, if I select multiple years over here, I can see the yearly forecast down here. And this is all your real data. None of it's what if scenarios. This is real data forecasting. So I can see that in 2021, my cash account is going to be $100,000. If I don't like that, I need to do something to change that. Or let's look at the receivables here. Okay, I see the receivables next year will be that number. If I don't like that, I need to push sales. Yeah. And I select 1 year. And if you notice, it doesn't have enough data here to make a forecast. It only has, there's not enough transaction data here. And it won't give you a forecast unless it can accurately give you one. See if we can get one from payables. We have enough data in payables to come up with a forecast for June. Negative 140. That's the forecasting component. And a lot of the reports, sales analysis and the financials, have this forecasting in it. Let's just jump down to budgets. Budgets is interesting. is interesting for everyone. Okay, see cash here. I'm gonna check cash. I'd like to start off by, let's look at the 2020 budget. And then let's look at sales. So in the sales account category, control accounts, I have all of these sub accounts here. These are all sub accounts under the control account. So now I can look at my budget versus my actuals. This is assumed to be all selected if there's none selected. It's the same as selecting all here. So budget's looking good. I'm under budget $9 million. That's good. I'm under budget 71%. So we're looking good there. You can see the percentages. 22% is the actuals, and 77% is what's budgeted. And I can see that my budgets even go all the way out, even though we don't have transactions against them yet. I see what my budgets are. And based on the way it's looking here, I may be able to reduce some of these budgets. But the key point is now I have the information right here in a graphical form so that I can make those decisions. There we go. So that's how the budgets work. And everything I've selected here will be remembered on this next budget screen. And it's remembered everything. So I can see the trend analysis. I can even zero it into just one particular sub account under sales. And I can see the trend analysis for that. Looks like the actuals are really up here in March. You know, if I click on this, it isolates it up here. And I can see it, see what happened here. We're over budget 277%, or $3,670. But I have that information now here at my fingertips without running a single report. I might want to add this here to my personal dashboard. I could go ahead and add that, pin it there, and now go over here, and I can click that pin, and it adds it to my personal dashboard. Really cool stuff. Okay, let me jump back up here. Another thing we can do with these reports is I could take this data here, all the data behind this, or any of these visuals, and I click on the ellipsis and I can say export this data. It's going to send this data to Excel. I'm going to send the summary data to Excel. It wants to know where I want to put it. I'll just drop it there on the desktop real quick. AR aging. I'll just flip over here for a minute. And there's, get a bunch of them here. There it is, AR aging. Open it up, and there's my Excel report. I can send it to whomever I want to. And there's the data. There we go, just that simple. Another thing we can do here is if I have a meeting, a presentation with a board of directors or managers, a particular area of management, I can just set all of these reports to what I want them to be, set the data, filter the data the way I want it, and then I could say, okay, create me a PowerPoint of this entire module, all of these reports, and it'll create you a nice PowerPoint presentation to take with you to your meeting. And you can remove slides from it or as you please, but it will do that for you also, and it'll create a PDF if you want a PDF, and you can print the reports also. And you can also share these reports. I can share this report with whomever is in my Outlook email list. I have somebody in there, and I'll send it to him. Now I've just shared it with this person, and they've got their report. So everything's pretty simple. Just click the mouse. So we looked at budget forecasts, we looked at the AR, AP, and the financial statements. There's other things in here. There's check registers. You know, there are bank reconciliation, the last through date that you reconciled the transactions for your bank accounts. This is last reconciled through 10/31/2018, 4/30/2020, and that was the last reconciled balance. And there's some additional user-defined fields over here that you can use if you populate those in Dynamics GP. We have, this is a great report here. This is a GL imbalance report with all account categories, all accounts, all periods, and all journal numbers. It knows that these journal numbers are in play during these periods for these accounts within this account category. You have your key performance indicator, the general ledger, corresponds to this. You have your transactions that correspond to the transaction detail, and you have your account transaction summary key performance indicator that maps to the transaction summary here. As you can see, these are all in balance. My GL's in balance, so all my transactions posted to the GL. But sometimes transactions don't post to the GL and throws the GL out of balance. So this report was created to correct that problem. So out of all of these journal numbers here, see that one journal number probably affects maybe 10 different GL accounts. Here's the distribution for that particular journal number. It affects all of these accounts at one transaction. So if this is out of balance, in other words, these transactions don't make it over to the GL, this can be a nightmare trying to figure this out. Depending on how many transactions you process in a day, it could be a day's work just trying to reconcile this. So if this were out of balance, I'd see the transactions here, but they wouldn't be over here. Fortunately, we're in balance. And what we would see in the red areas is the out of balance differential. It'll tell you how much it's out of balance, the debit or credit amount, and it'll show you the detail right here. This journal number, if it didn't post over here, would be listed right here, exactly as you see here. All this information would come over here and populate. So you'll know exactly what you need to reconcile this. Even it'll show you down to the debit and credit to the particular GL account that you need to adjust to bring it in balance with your GL. So it'll show you that at a glance. Yeah. Pretty cool. And you have your fixed assets, your company taxes, your cash in and cash outs by posted date, cash movement. I can see my cash in and cash out by my posting dates for any of my checkbooks. I can even see the series. And you notice when I unclick sales, I click sales, the only thing in sales that's in play are increases. Increases in this particular accounts. If I uncheck sales, which is the same as selecting everything, then I see decreases. If I want to just see decreases only, I can see what are the decreases. And I can look at different accounts, see decreases in these accounts. I can just monitor all my cash in and cash out in my bank accounts right here by posted date, or I can do it by transaction date. We have a transaction date one also. I can see the cash movement. Checkbook balance is always there. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the financials. I'm going to take us now over to the sales analysis real quick. Go back home here, and I'm going to look at the sales analysis. Here we have, these are the reports within the sales analysis module. Again, we have the AR in there. Works the same way as the other AR. Only here we have an additional filter for a group. This is a user-defined field. If you have a user-defined field in your inventory file, it'll show up here. Excuse me, in your customer record, customer card, if you will, in GP. If you're using one of the user-defined fields in there, then it will appear here. And we can go ahead and drill through, to the individual groups. These happen to be store groups here. It's just, there's just no way possible to get this kind of aggregation and analysis looking at page reports. It's impossible. You can't do it. This is hundreds of pages of a paginated report. All you see is numbers, just lines of numbers, but you don't see the forest for the trees. But with this product here, you got a 360 degree view of your data at all times. What I want to show you here now, here's a sales analysis main module screen here. I have all these filters here where I can filter it down to any level I want, any customer type, fiscal year, any month. I'm going to use all months. I can select the product lines. I can even filter it by item classes, item descriptions, all the way down to any level of granularity I want. And now I can see my revenue by customer, margins by customer, revenue by month, margins by month, and revenue by territory. A lot of the clients want to change this visual here because they don't have sales territories set up. So they say, well, that's not really helpful for us because we don't use territories. We might have salespeople. So this could be revenue by salesperson, revenue by line of business. It just depends on what categorization you have set up in GP. But it's like we change those for the individual clients to suit their categorization. It takes about 20 seconds because we already have the data points captured. So everything's interactive. So if I just click on that customer, everything else changes. So I can see that these revenues are applicable to that customer in these months and in that territory, or in the sale by salesperson, or whatever other categorization you use. Or I can go at it another way. I can say, okay, which customers bought in May? So I click on May. I can see these customers purchased product in May. I can make that bigger if I want. I can even click on the ellipsis and bring the data in. It'll bring the data in underneath there. Go back to my report. I can see that particular revenue for May results in sales to these customers and in these territories. Or I could go at it another way. If I'm over here in my territories, or however you have your data categorized, and I say click Minnesota, I can see I sold to these customers in Minnesota, and this is the revenue generated by that particular territory. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some of the artificial intelligence built into these reports. So let's see. I noticed right here in June, I've got a real decrease in sales. So if I were to right click on June, and it's going to tell me why my sales decreased from May to June. But we're not in June yet, so I don't want to. Let's look at April. This is my test data. April and May, we have a decrease in sales. So if I right click on May and I tell it to analyze the decrease from April to May, it's going to analyze that's a 37% decrease from April to May. And this is a waterfall chart that it generates. There's April's sales and there's May's sales. And in between, what's responsible for the decrease? It's going to tell me right up here. This is looking at a user-defined field. So if you don't have a user-defined field in there, we don't need that. But in this case, this user-defined field has the store groups in it. So I can see that this store group Honeybee is performing well. The green is good. The red's not good. I can see to this particular group, I have 44% less sales in May than I had in April. Here you have 99% decrease in sales from April to May for this particular store group. So I might want to look into that. I'm definitely going to want to look into that. 57% decrease in sales here. The other is the yellow, represents a group of smaller sales that aren't as significant as the individual ones they show you, but they do show that others also have a decrease of 27%. So really what it's saying to me is the sales are down, and this is why. I can look at that in different ways, that particular graphic. Now it'll show me the rankings here. Who's moving up, who's moving down in these rankings between April and May. So this particular store group here is still ranked number 1. This store group dropped 1 ranking point from 2 to 3. This one over here is up 11. That's good. That's a good thing. And I can see that's Comboris or Comborn's cash wire group. So I can see that same type of representation in different ways. So here it's looking at the user defined field again. Now here it's looking at the customer numbers. Here are the customer numbers along the bottom. And I can see April to May, and I can see what the customers are doing. This customer number here, it's the same. Everything's good. We have sales in May here, but there were none in April. That's what it's telling me here. Sales here in May, but none in April. Here we had sales in April, but none in May. This is the kind of AI that it gives you. Again, I can look at that graphic in different ways. I can look at it on a plotted chart. It depends on which graphics you prefer to view that particular AI in. And that's by customer name. Same thing. And it explains it up here. It's also going to show me that by the customer name out of the customer master. It's customer name stored in different places in GP. Again, by customer number, customer name. This is by item number here. So it shows me the movement of my items. This seems to be the most significant. So I can see the sales are down, 36% here with most of my items. I can look at it by item descriptions along the bottom. I think you get the idea what it's doing here. So depending on how you have the categories set up, it's going to run the artificial intelligence and give you your insights based on that. It's a pretty powerful tool, and it'll do that for any of the graphics. So that's sales analysis. Also, we can drill through here and look at all the information and see what actually was sold, and I can see exactly what items were sold. So having all invoices here. I can look at a particular month if I'm interested in it. I've already sold some things in June. It's pretty nice. And again, we have our forecasting that was similar to the forecasting we saw in the financials. Let's see, 2020, if I have enough data. I don't have enough data in 2020 from our forecast yet. But let's see. If I select all document types, still not. But I can filter this by document type. I can look at my orders. I can look at my quotes. Here I have enough in the quotes to forecast. Let's look at the returns. We can even see returns here. Back down here. Returns. So let's select them all. See if I can get. So I don't have enough data there for a forecast for 2020 yet, but 2019, I have enough data. It looks like for January, it's going to be 1.29 million, 1.39 million overall. I just filtered out the invoices only because I'm really interested in sales. Looks like my sales are going to be approximately 975,000 in January of 2020. Let's just see how close that came to my sample data here. So in January 2020, it's looking at 957,000. I know I have some sales in January. So January, it was 1 million. So 1 million is what the actual sales were in January. It forecasted 957,000. So it was off very little, the forecast from the actuals, as you can see here. So that's the power of the forecasting, and that's why you want to use that. You definitely want to use the forecasting for your budgets, for your sales. Yeah, you want to use the forecasting. Again, we can select all years, and we can look at the forecast for 2021. I see a downward trajectory here. So that means we need to take some corrective action here. Otherwise, that's what it's going to be. It still would be better than what we did last year, but but still not as good as 2019. It's not as good as any of these other years. So we need to take some corrective action. And well, let's see what else we have here. We have sales decompositions, where again we can filter this any way we want. And we can look at any customer that we want to here, and it'll show us exactly what that customer was doing, what items this customer bought. I'm going to select all document types here, and give me all months. Okay, there we go. I can see what these customers are doing by months, invoices. This customer here has invoices, orders, and returns. You can see those. Okay, that's how that report works. And I can see the key performance indicators up here. Total revenues, 6.1, 6.1. There we go. So let's look at the sales variance report. This is a new report here. What this is going to show you is by line of business, if you have a line of business, or whatever categorizations you have set up, we'll use here salespeople, sales reps, territories, and it will show you here the current month and contrast it with the prior month sales and show you the variance. Here it's $49,000 less last month than the current month. It'll show me current year to date and the prior year to date and the year to date dollar variance. And it will also give me the year to date percentage variance out here. A negative is good. That means you're doing good. Positive is bad. The same as all variances. This means I'm doing good, so I'm doing bad. So for the most part, that's bad there. It's 100%. Because there's no prior year to date. See, there's no priors. So this is probably a new customer here. In fact, these are all new because there's no prior sales to them, or we just didn't sell any prior thing. Because if you see as 100% over here, then there's no prior year to date. That means there were no sales to this customer at all. So you're not going to get a year to date. It's always going to be 100%. here, this customer here, we have prior year to date. So these aren't new customers. They just didn't purchase anything in the prior month. We can see all that right here. There we go. And you can isolate it by clicking on one of the customers down here in this visual. Click it again and it brings back everybody. Just want to see what Bill's doing. And there's Bill. Bill sold a refrigerator down to Pierce Refrigeration. That's how that works. You have your trend analysis. Let's see how my sales are trending. Just isolate invoices here. And I can see my trend analysis along the bottom. I can look at the Arby's store group. And I have Arby's here. Sales, you can see exactly what's going on here. Gonna look at the orders for that particular customer, and I can see what the orders are. So that's the sales trend analysis. I can look at that geographically. Again, I can filter it any way I want. Got a lot of years here. Let me just bring us to 2020. Okay. In 2020, here are the revenues. And here is the statewide distribution of those revenues. Got a lot going on here, Minnesota. And if I want, I can go ahead and drill through here, or I can drill through from up here. I'll just drill through from here in Michigan and see what's going on. And I can see what they're buying at Great Lakes Foods in Minnesota. Item number, the invoice numbers. And I can see the margins and who sold it. That's sales analysis. We can look at your product rankings. Again, geographic for 2020. See this product line, these product item classes are within this product line. So I have these item classes within that product line. I can see how they're performing. If you have product lines or lines of business, however you categorize your data, we can switch these visuals to rank those particular categories for you. Again, our key performance indicators change with each item that we select. Everything changes in accordance with that. I can see I'm selling this product line, parts all over the United States, maybe even in other countries. Yeah, if it were being sold in other countries, it would automatically bring that country in play. Oh, there you go. Let's see what else we have here. We have your lost business analysis. In other words, what haven't you sold? Well, you sold it previously, but currently no. So if we were to select, say, let's look at November. Nope, there's nothing there for November. So let's use them all here so I can explain what's going on here. Out here for this year, these territories, some territories are blank here, some aren't. So for California, for instance, this product line, there's not a product line associated with it. So we use this territory COD, Hamdi restaurant, and these product lines are set up for that particular restaurant. These are the item numbers. Here's the item description. And it's telling me that there's no current sales to this particular customer, but there were previous sales. So if there's no current sales, that represents lost business. And I can go on down and look at all the lost business for all of the customers in all the territories for 2020, all product lines. And I can see this is all lost business. You don't really want to see that, but it's just inevitable. You know, customers going to buy. And that means for all of these months, okay, for every one of these months, this customer purchased nothing. These customers purchased nothing in all of these months. That's significant. And that's something you'd want to know. Okay, and there's a lost business rendered in a graphical form. All months, current, previous, current, previous. So that's another way of looking at the lost business analysis. And you can analyze it all the way down to the item, to the individual item level here. We go from left to right and filter all the way down to the individual item level we're interested in. And it will give you the version, rendition. Naturally, there's a lot of information there, so you're going to want to filter it down a little bit. Filter down by a particular product line. You know, it's still a lot of data. So we might want to filter by item to an item class. There we go. So what it is, you just filter down until you get to the level that you're interested in analyzing. And then you go and do the analysis. Mm-hmm. And I can right click to drill through. I see it says right click to drill through. So anytime I'm hovering over a visual and it says that, then I can right click and drill through to the detail. And there it is. So that gives you a high level overview of the sales analysis and the financial modules in the report pack. So in the essence of time, we're going to go ahead and stop the demo there. I think most of you see what the product does here. And I'm going to turn it back over to Allie here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Okay, Allie, I'm going to send it back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Anthony.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right. It doesn't look like we have any questions right now, but if anybody has any, please type them out in the questions or chat window so we can go ahead and answer those. We do have some pretty great pricing bundles for this, but I will be sending you that along with the recording of this webinar later on today. So if you have any questions about the pricing as well, you can ask me then.
Excuse me, Allie.
Yeah.
I do see I see a couple questions here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing them here. How long does it take to install this product? The product installs within an hour. Within an hour, you're up and running. So that's really no downtime there whatsoever. Next question, what version of GP does this work with? This product works with all versions of GP without any changes. So fear not. This works with 2018 the same way it works with 2010. There's no change whatsoever. Okay, what else is here? Yeah, and the third question is, can we add to this? Yes, this report pack here is designed to be scalable. So in other words, if the client has the financials and they say, well, we've been creating these reports using these smart lists and cutting and pasting for these month-end reports. Can we do this with the report pack and save all of that manual trouble? Absolutely. In fact, that's what part of what we do to scale the report. We add new reports to it. We build new reports based on the customer's need. So anything you need to do with it can be done. It can be modified. It can be changed because you'll have the code, and you just let TM Group know what you want to do, and they'll get it done for you. But this right here will give you the basis and the foundation for all data analytics in your GP operations. All right. Thank you.
Those are some awesome questions. But other than that, I don't think we have any additional questions. So a huge thank you, Anthony, for helping us walk through that today. And like I said, I'll be sending you guys the recording and the pricing bundle. So if you have any additional questions, then feel free to ask me then. So I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you so much. Yes, be safe, everyone.